Hello and welcome back to my review/thoughts video on Doctor Who Series 11, Episode 9, It Takes You Away. So I'm trying to make the video a bit more interesting. Okay, the penultimate episode of Series 11, It Takes You Away. Okay, just to get us started, I'll say this one's quite different actually from what we've had over the last few episodes. It's one of the more unusual ones, should we say. Okay, so right off the bat, kind of an unusual title actually. You've never had one that's just like, how do I explain this? I mean, okay, normally we get titles like Genesis of the Daleks or The Invisible Enemy and stuff like that. We don't usually get titles like It Takes You Away. I might not be making sense to anyone, but it's kind of an unusual way of phrasing a title. I don't think I'm making much sense, so I'm just gonna ditch that idea and move on. Next thing. Secondly, Norway, quite an unusual setting actually. I don't think they've ever done an episode set in Norway, as I think I said in my last video at the end of it. Yeah, really nice setting that is, out in the woods and down in the cabin. The cabin looks creepy as hell as well. They did a good job with the setting of that. Set design. I'm assuming it's a set for the cabin, so good set design from whoever did that. Second, Akinola's music was top form, on point in this one again as usual. Just get that out of the way with now so I don't forget it halfway through this video. And of course the visual effects are pretty much on point as they have been for the majority of this series as well. So there we go, that's the first few things out of the way. Let's see what else is there to ramble about. Okay, so yeah, episode starts out fairly slowish paced as it has been a lot this series. This series has been a lot slower paced than it has been in the last, most of the modern series actually. It's more closer to the classic series pacing than it is to the modern series, which some people like, some people don't. I quite like it because I'm a huge nerd of the classic series, but some people have been calling it kind of boring. I don't really mind, whatever you like I suppose. But yeah, it starts off first, what, 10, 15, 20-ish minutes, slow pace, they're investigating this thing, they start to find out bits of what's going on, and then all of a sudden, through the mirror, into this weird rocky, what was it called? The Anti-Zone, that's the one. Kind of reminds me of the Interzone from the Divergent Universe saga by Big Finish, but yeah, they go to the Anti-Zone where, I can't remember the guy's name, that weird alien trader, creepy guy, I can't remember his name, I'll just call him Gordon. So yeah, they meet up with Trader Gordon, who's a bit of a creep. A lot of backstory to him. I think that was one of the downsides, well not downsides as such, but one of the points where it sort of dropped marks a bit in this episode. Not really given any backstory to this guy whatsoever. You think he is the villain to begin with, but he's more sort of, I mean, if he is, he's sort of a naff side villain that's not really bad as such, he's just kind of out for himself. Not a lot of development from him, we don't really know why he's in this anti-zone between two realities or anything. And he gets killed off about probably less than 10 minutes after his introduction scene, so I guess we weren't supposed to focus on him too much. But anyway, the moth things, they're alright, just sort of random addition, not really anything too remarkable as such. They were passable, they were alright I suppose, didn't focus on them much at all. And then we come to the really interesting bit of the episode, the other reality created by the Solitract entity. Okay, now as someone who kind of likes the weird and bizarre side of Doctor Who, and who's also started to recently get into Big Finish's audios, the earlier ones which are kind of strange Doctor Who episodes and whatnot, and as someone whose favourite Doctor Who story of all time is Scherzo, you know, with all that in mind, I really like these weird abstract-y, like out of the wall, over the pit, weird, whoa, what the fuck, kind of concepts in Doctor Who. And I think this episode is one of them, much to my squealing with pleasure. No, not for that reason. So yeah, this one's really weird. Basically, beginning of the universe, there was this, not necessarily a being, but like an entity or a collection of energy that scientifically was impossible for it to exist in our universe without everything being halted and destroyed. And of course the universe, the explanation in the episode is the universe managed to exile it itself somehow. But yeah, that happened. Again, really weird sci-fi concept I just fell in love with as soon as it came on screen. But yeah, the Solitract being a whole conscious dimension or universe or pocket world, or I'm not quite sure exactly what it was, but damn if I don't fucking love this episode. So yeah, I absolutely adored the weird, bizarre, just completely taking a left turn concept of the Solitract entity. It's not exactly inherently evil or malicious villain either, it's kind of sad really. It just wants to be a part of our world, but it never can be. And then of course the whole, because it was using Grace as one of its forms, of course it likes to take the form of a frog, as Grace likes frogs. Okay, I quite like the frog, okay? Talking frog. I mean, we've had a talking penguin, talking crocodiles, talking centipede, and a talking jellyfish in the audios, so why not have a talking frog in the main show? Why does Doctor Who just love its talking animals so much? But yeah, I didn't mind the frog at all. It did look a bit dodgy, and the lip syncing didn't quite line up, and it didn't quite look as good as it could have done. I think maybe CGI would have been a better route to go through, to go down for the frog, because to me it looks like it's been done with like some, I don't know, some kind of practical effect. I'm not quite sure what it is though, and I don't know why I'm looking through this. It's just kind of... So yeah, I didn't mind the frog. Some people did. I really didn't, as someone who's, as someone who's sat through and listened to this and all the other weird Doctor Who stories that I've come across over the years. A talking frog on a chair that's actually a representation of an entire conscious universe is probably one of the slightly lesser weird things that this franchise has done, if I'm honest, by this point. Really enjoyed the whole, thing in this one. The whole everything, pretty much. Yeah, the plot of the I'm not going to say villain, because it wasn't really a villain as such. It wasn't really intentionally bad at its core, so I'll say the antagonist. The main antagonist of this one being the solid tracked entity. I feel like that really worked, and while the series has been really lackluster with its villains so far, you think that having a villain that's actually not a villain would kind of just piss people off even more, but I think for this one in particular it works. I don't think it would have worked for any of the others, but this one it definitely works, I'd say. All in all, I love the solid track and the frog. I didn't mind it one bit. That was actually kind of a touching little moment, like little scene that they had at the end where the solid track, where it's in the frog form talking to the Doctor and whatnot. It comes to something when I'm saying that a conversation between the Doctor and a sentient universe disguised as a frog carried more emotional weight for me than something like the ending of Doomsday. I really just don't function correctly as a human being, do I? At all. Oh my. Anyway, as a massive fan of bizarre sci-fi concepts, I really like the concept of the solid tracked entity and the whole alternate reality trying to lure people in just because it wants to be a part of this universe. I really liked all that. That was great. This is probably, I'm going to say it now, this is probably my favourite episode of this series. I really like this episode. That's enough on the plot and the concept of the antagonist. So I think I should move on now. Don't you agree? Comment below. Please subscribe, by the way. Thank you. Okay, the side cast. Okay, I mentioned Gordon earlier. Gordon the alien guy. He was decent enough. One of those weird sort of Doctor Who alien people that you come across every now and then. I quite liked him. He was cool. But yeah, nothing too special about him, I'm afraid. But serves the purpose well enough, I suppose. The human characters in this. Okay, it was great to see Grace come back. I knew she'd pop up again at some point, given how Sharon D. Clarke was listed as a regular before this series started, and then she dies in the first episode and just appears a couple times in flashbacks. I knew she'd have some kind of more substantial appearance at some point this series, given that information. Yeah, she was great as this, even though it was just the antagonist trying to take her form and lure Graham in. Speaking of Graham, if any people still had any doubts left over from before this series began that Bradley Walsh, the comedic presenter of the Chase game show, couldn't pull off a believable companion role with actual emotional weight to get people invested in Doctor Who, they most certainly will not be thinking that now, that's for sure. Everyone loved Graham by this point. Everyone. Well, probably not everyone, but me included. I think we can all agree Graham is probably one of the best companions since Ace, probably, if I'm honest. Probably one of the best companions since Ace. Rory's pretty good, actually. As a male companion. Probably should have used a male companion example. Never mind, Graham was freaking fantastic in this. Little Ninth Doctor reference there for you. The Doctor was phenomenal. I'll say phenomenal. I only say phenomenal because it sounds better than just me saying she was really good, and I have a kind of limited repertoire when it comes to making stuff up off the top of my head. So I'll say that the 13th Doctor was phenomenal, perhaps semi-phenomenal. I don't know, depending on what you thought, but her performance was great, as usual in this. Doctor was great, Graham was great, sidecast were all great, the Norwegian family, they were alright, they were pretty good. I thought the dad was a bit of a prick for leaving his daughter alone like that, his blind daughter alone in a boarded up house, and frightening her with speakers of monster noises to stay in the house while he's off in this alternate reality fucking this ancient entity masquerading as his dead wife. But to be fair, that temptation would probably lure him in. Fair game to him, I suppose. The woman, can't remember her name, was it like Trini or some shit, I don't know. She was decent enough, actually good enough in this, I'd say. And the daughter, I don't remember her name, sorry, I'm terrible for remembering character names, I just never can do it. She was good. Some people have said their accent was a little bit off. I don't really know what a Norwegian accent sounds like, to be honest. So, all in all, they were satisfactory, if not pretty good. Now Yaz and Ryan, I don't know. You know how in season 19 it was the 5th Doctor, Tegan, Nyssa and Adric, and the 5th Doctor he was pretty good actually. Tegan was... Some people have mixed opinions about Tegan, but I for one quite like her and think she was definitely the definitive 5th Doctor's companion throughout the TV stories at least. But she was usually the one that got a lot of focus on her, and then Nyssa and Adric for the most part tended to get shoved off into the background quite a bit. Now I don't want to say that history is repeating itself, because if that's true then it's likely Doctor Who will be cancelled after 2021. But I feel like Yaz and Ryan are just the new Nyssa and Adric, especially once we've gotten past like the Demons of the Punjab episode. I think after that point, that's when Ryan started becoming useless and Yaz got a bit more to do, but then they just never really did a whole lot with either of them, really, did they? They're not... I mean, in this episode, Ryan is bone dead useless and he just doesn't seem to be all there. He seems to have no personality whatsoever, and he has basically been substituted with a box of shortbread for some some. Quite proud of that little analogy that I just made up off the top of my head right there. Yeah, I won't ramble on about this anymore. The Doctor and Graham were great. Yaz was okay, she didn't really have a whole lot to do, and Ryan was just felt kind of forgotten about in this one for the most part. So yeah. Anyway, all in all, this was probably my favourite episode of this series so far. Obviously I don't score these, but if I was, I would probably give this an 8.5 to a 9. Really good episode, really liked it. Favourite this series. Great sci-fi concepts and everything. Thoroughly enjoyed it, it was fantastic. So, series finale next week. Now, the trailer for this, the Doctor recognises somebody's voice. Now, obviously the way they've cut the trailer together, it may not be the woman that's screaming. Possibly, okay, just face it. The Doctor's saying, I recognise that voice after a woman's scream in a trailer for an episode. Everyone is gonna start going, Susan! Me included, actually. Oh my god. If they bring back Susan in the next episode. Oh my god, please! Chibnall! I was very enthusiastic. Now the dog's just sort of staring at me. Yeah, probably won't be Susan. Regardless, I'm sure I'll enjoy the episode. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video talking about episode 9 from the voice of this weirdo, then leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah. See you in the next video. Well, hope you have a good day. See ya.